Join me as I challenge myself to pray with expectant faith for a whole week and see how it transforms my life. When we pray, we often get caught up in the idea that God might not answer our prayers the way we want him to. We might pray with a sense of uncertainty, doubting whether our prayers will make a difference. But what if I told you that there's a way to pray that can revolutionize your relationship with God? It's called expectant faith, and it's all about believing that God will answer our prayers and trusting in his goodness. Expectant faith is not just about tossing up a quick prayer and hoping for the best. It's about having confidence that God is always working for our good, even when we can't see it. It's about trusting in his power and his love and knowing that he desires to bless us and prosper us. When we pray with expectant faith, we open ourselves up to experience the transformative power of God in our lives. We begin to see his hand at work in ways we never thought possible, and our faith grows as a result. So why is it that we so often struggle to pray with expectant faith? I think one of the main reasons is that we've been conditioned to doubt. We've been taught that God might not answer our prayers, or that he might not even be listening. We've been taught that we need to be realistic and that we should temper our expectations. But the Bible tells us that God is a God who desires to bless us and prosper us, and that he is always working for our good. Another reason we struggle to pray with expectant faith is that we've experienced disappointment in the past. We've prayed for something and it didn't happen, and so we begin to doubt whether God is really listening. We start to wonder whether we're just fooling ourselves, whether prayer is really making a difference. Fear is another big obstacle to praying with expectant faith. We're afraid of being disappointed, afraid of looking foolish, afraid of not being heard, and so we hold back. We don't pray with confidence, and we don't expect God to move in our lives. We've all been there, feeling like God isn't listening, like our prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling. It's a frustrating and disappointing place to be, and it can be hard to keep praying when it feels like nothing is happening. But the truth is, God is always at work, even when we can't see it. The Bible is full of examples of people who prayed with expectant faith, and it's amazing to see what happened as a result. Take the story of Elijah, for example. He prayed for rain, and God sent a massive storm. He prayed for fire to come down from heaven, and God sent it. Elijah's prayers were bold and confident, and God answered them in amazing ways. Or take the story of Daniel, who prayed for wisdom, and God gave him incredible insight into the workings of the kingdom. Daniel's prayers were humble and expectant, and God blessed him richly as a result. The Bible is full of examples of people who prayed with expectant faith, and it's amazing to see what happened as a result. There's the story of Hannah, who prayed for a child and God gave her Samuel. There's the story of the blind man who prayed for sight and Jesus healed him. I want to share a personal story with you that illustrates the power of expectant faith. A few years ago, I was going through a really tough time. I was struggling with anxiety and fear, and I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was at a crossroads, and I didn't know which way to turn. So I started praying, and I prayed with expectant faith. I believed that God would answer my prayers and give me the guidance I needed. As I prayed, I started to feel a sense of peace, a sense of calm that I hadn't felt in weeks. And then suddenly I had an idea. It was as if God had spoken to me, giving me the guidance I needed. It was an amazing moment, and it changed the course of my life. When we pray with expectant faith, we open ourselves up to experiencing God's power in our lives. We start to see his hand at work, guiding us and directing us. We start to trust in his goodness, and we start to believe that he will answer our prayers. So let's recap what we've learned today. Expectant faith is not just a feeling, it's a choice. It's a decision to trust in God's goodness, even when we can't see it. It's a decision to believe that he will answer our prayers and bless us richly as a result. I want to encourage you to start praying with expectant faith today. Don't be afraid to believe that God will answer your prayers, and don't be afraid to trust in his goodness. Remember, he is a God who desires to bless you and prosper you, and he is always working for your good. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. How has expectant faith impacted your life? What have you learned about praying with confidence and trust? Let's continue the conversation and encourage each other to pray with expectant faith. And don't forget to check out my next video, where we'll be exploring more about the power of prayer.